Oh. Oh, no. This is what poker is like. So we were talking, guys, I was talking a little bit about, on the stream, a little bit about some beats. I was talking about Aces Up, his bust out hand. I was talking a little bit about Pippin today.
And congratulating and Linda.
Congratulations to Linda. So Linda is the big winner on the Poker Zero League today. She is like this little girl on the tractor trailer. The rest of us are like this kid right here. He has a he has a big plan. Okay, we don't exactly know what his plan is. You can kind of see, you got to see in his head. His plan is he's gonna like run in front of her and kind of pretend that he's gonna get run over. You can see it right there, but then he realizes no, this is happening. Right there, it's like, oh, this is happening right now. This is gonna be my life now. This is my life. Oh, yep, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. No, it's not. This is my life. Oh my gosh, thank you. This is perfect. Thank you.
One.
Thank you.
Here, you want two?
So we were talking about this is what poker feels like. You know, you get crushed, you get beaten at the poker table. And, I mean, it's just such a great metaphor for life. The problem comes when you forget that this is everybody's experience. This is everybody's experience. And the problem comes when you have, like, aces cracked, against ace-8. And you're like, oh, my gosh, this is horrible. Oh, no. The problem comes when you forget that everybody else goes through the same thing, that everybody feels that way. So, yeah. What else did we talk about? Shoot, what else were we talking about? We talked about so much. 20 minutes.
Well, we lost everybody.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're back. Here we are. We've got the 8-2 offsuit. We're going to make a fold. We got I Am Krista. Thank you very much, I'm Krista. Pretty sure that is that's a resub. Really appreciate you being here and keeping the stream going. Really appreciate that.
You want more of these? Because I'm going to eat them.
I will take one. Thank you. Well, 9-2 offsuit action. What do you think, Mr. Marbles? Let's do it. We've got position. We'll start at 2.5x at this point. Maybe just get through without having to see a flop. If we do, we set ourselves up for that C-bet. Looks like a pretty good flop for an ace-8. Looks like a pretty good flop for a lot of what we're representing here. Fire out the same amount. It's interesting, too. We actually have outs if he has us beat. Pretty wet board for him, though, too. So he could easily have hit something. He could have some sort of draw. He could have some sort of weak ace that we're never going to be able to get him off of.
Is it on? I have my screen's still loading, so.
It's on now.
Okay.
So now we just have to kind of check back and hope that he has like king, queen, king, jack, queen, jack. Nice hand there, Mr. Marbles. Nice call. Thank you for the free card. Make the fold here. And we get a little exposed against Mr. Marbles. That habitual limper, guys. Habitual limper. What does it mean?
You can see a picture of yours, though, on yours?
Yeah, I think we're live.
Can you see
Refreshing. Yeah, I can see it.
Mavericks tried their first stream.
Very cool to see you here, Maverick. You know, Maverick, I can relate. You know, the big problem that you'll run into is feeling like those technical bad beats about getting disconnected don't happen to every streamer. I can relate.
Somebody's not having a rough time, baby. Can't even see your face. Weird.
Try refreshing.
I am.
Doesn't work, huh?
It's weird. Odd. Yeah, I'm getting this weird Twitch thing. Wow. There we go.
So, also, Logan, I got your email, and I spent about 5 minutes going over it, talking about pot odds and talking about when it's okay to deviate from spots, when it's okay to gamble it up. You know, basically, if you think that your chances of winning a tournament are going to be, you know, if you think that your expected value in a tournament is going to be higher, if you make a call, even if you don't put yourself as a favorite in the hand, then it's okay. You can do it. You don't, you know, it's not as simple as just saying. It's not as simple as saying, okay, you have 40% to make a hand that's going to beat what you think you're up against, right? And that 40%, we'll say that a guy goes all in and has you covered, so you are getting exactly like 1-to-1, where you're supposed to be better than 50% to make the call. But if you feel like if you fold this hand, your chances of winning the tournament aren't going to get better than 40%, that this is like it for you, it's okay to make the call. It's okay to sometimes take the worst of it if you don't think that by skipping it you're going to get better situations than what you've got. Let me give you a real simple example of this. Let's say that you are up against, heads up for all the marbles, Phil Ivey. Okay, Phil Ivey. And
Looks like there's a bit of lag there, huh?
a little bit of lag. Let me ask you. So you're up against Phil Ivey. What do you think that your chances should be to beat him? You know, we'll just assume right now, and I don't think it's that big of a stretch. We'll say that he's the best poker player in the world, and we will say that he's got you beat. You know, you got exactly the same amount of chips. We'll go 800. You got exactly the same amount of chips as each other. We'll say that you have 100,000 chips, and the blinds are going to go up really, really slow. So both of you are like 300 big blinds deep, and he is just he's good. He can read right through you. What are the chances that you should be able to beat him? What's your odds? Like, if I'm going to come along and say, okay, well, what do you give yourself? It'd be really easy to be like, okay, well, I think that he's so good. He's got to be able to beat me, like, 9 times out of 10. He should be able to beat you like 19 times out of 20. I mean, your chances of actually winning that confrontation, maybe it's like, maybe it's like 2%. The truth is, though, that there's a real easy thing that you can do just to make sure that the chances aren't that low, and that's just go all in, every single hand, pre-flop, all in. You do that, he's never going to be able to get you better than an 85% favorite. He's never going to be able to get you better than taking aces against your random hand. So you have 15% to do that. You know, let's say that early on you're in a spot against Phil Ivey where he makes a shove and you look down and you're like, you know what? I think that he's got pocket kings here. I'm pretty sure. Do you have pocket kings? And for some whatever reason, he's like, yeah, I got it. I got pocket kings. And you look down and you've got ace jack, and you know, man, ace jack. This is not a very good hand against pocket kings. I'm not an equity favorite here, so I fold. Well, that's a horrible fold if this is going to be like your shot at actually winning. And you're not going to get better situations. I mean, if you can say, okay, well, my chances of beating Phil Ivey are 30-something%, that seems pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and fire out against your prudence. We actually do have the 10 here. We're hoping that you have like a jack 9 or a queen jack or a set. I don't know. I don't know what we're looking for. I don't know what we hope that you have there, but we're pretty sure that we're winning. So Maverick BP asking what software do I use? I'm using XSplit. Using XSplit to stream. I think that if I could go back in time and do it over again, I would almost certainly start off with OBS. But since I started with XSplit, and there's a pretty big learning curve on these things, I haven't made the transition over. But OBS, I think, is the better piece of software. It's open source. It's free, which is a good advantage, So since it's free and since it's open source, it actually has it's actually a stronger piece of software. XSplit has really, tried to become the user-friendly, low entry. You don't know what you're doing, use XSplit, download it, and for the most part, it works. But the thing is, there's a learning curve with XSplit, and I don't think that it's that different of a learning curve. I wish that I would have spent the time learning XSplit instead of learning OBS, because I think that OBS not only is it currently the better software solution, it's going to get better because so many people are invested in it improving. So yeah, I mean, you can go on the GitHub, you can go through and see it's got a lot of contributors, but for the most part, like four or five top guys who are really putting most of the commits in. XSplit has a paid development team, but that doesn't mean that it's a better piece of software. I made the mistake, and I don't know why I decided to make this mistake, Maverick, that I mean, obviously if you pay for it, it should be better, right? Should be. Like sex, right? If you pay for sex, it should be better. But just so often it's not. Oh, man. If you pay for a meal, it should be better. So often it's not. And we wake up with a pretty good hand here. Pocket jacks will open against Mike City, who will call. Of course he has to call. Here's a guy who open limps with everything. He folds. How do you fold there, Mike City? He smelled it.
It's a little choppy.
What are some other things that
Your stream's a little choppy.
little choppy?
Yeah, I wonder why.
I don't know. It doesn't say I'm dropping any frames.
Your video though is choppy.
Oh, I know why that is. That's because of my. That's because of the Logitech software. That's because I'm using Right Light. I do know why. I can make it less choppy, but the color's gonna go to shit.
It's not a very good color anyway.
It looks great. What are you talking about? It looks so lifelike.
It's
Okay.
like you.
Yeah, let me go ahead and change it. If I go to the input, I need to update a driver or something.
Yeah. There's so much updates right now.
Yeah. So I guess I'm doing the Windows 10 update, you guys. Windows finally gave me the ultimatum. They've been saying, hey, you get a free update to Windows 10. They've been trying to get me to update for the last 3 months. I wasn't really on board. Let's see. I think maybe if I turn off autofocus. And yeah, still a little bit choppy. If I turn off autofocus and then maybe go into the advanced This is gonna suck, you guys, but here it is. Turning off right light. And all of a sudden it's just not, it just doesn't look as good.
Yeah, but you're very choppy and very laggy.
Yep. There we go. So now it's not going to be as choppy. The reason it was so choppy, you guys, sorry about that. The reason it was choppy was because I was using something that Logitech cams have, which is auto light, right? But it's not as good. So what's better is if you take the drain off of your camera and say, you know what, I don't need you, camera, to tell me what the best light is for me. But then you got to kind of like play with the lighting and give it a little bit contrast. Too bright, too bright. A little bit of warm. Put a little warmth into it.
You an artist?
I'm trying.
Did you eat this cookie or can I have it?
No.
I can have more. They're good. Have you tried it?
You can
They're
have.
so delicious. Like, wow.
You can have that piece.
Okay.
And that piece.
Okay.
June almost had that piece. You can have that piece.
Did you try it?
Yeah, it's good.
I will let you try and make your art, your picture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, babe, turn up the Let me see where you try. Okay, let me see. I'll do it. Let me do it.
Nope.
Okay. Move that one down.
What are we doing? It's gone. It's a pretty good flop for King Jack, huh? Pretty good flop.
Oh, you gotta get your attention.
Thank you, June. She was answering the question. It was a rhetorical question, June. It wasn't one that needed an answer.
Is that shadow? Put that
So
down.
this goes green. That goes a little
that way.
red.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Move this one.
Move this one. Dog Mile, good to see you, man.
Move that one over a little bit. No,
A
yeah,
little too
that's
red.
good.
It's too red. It's
No,
too
it's
red.
not. Not red enough.
A little less
Is
contrast.
that went? Oh, good. 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 Good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that looks good. Oh yeah,
Okay.
that looks
This one,
great.
The one below it.
This one is. Boop. Okay.
No, Dad, in the middle. That's where it's supposed to be, in the middle.
You think it's supposed to be right there?
Yeah, that's perfect. I don't know why you had it so bright. I'm trying to blind everybody.
So that must be exposure.
No, don't put it so bright. Don't put it so bright. There you go. Not so bright.
Not so bright.
Yeah, dim it, dude. Look at how bright my coat is. Dim it. Put it in the middle.
Put it in the middle. About right there.
In the middle. That's not in the middle. See the middle, please. Okay. Between the minus sign and the plus sign is the middle. Oh, it's not. It's not. There's just a little thing. I see. Is that? Oh, it doesn't do that. Oh, I thought it was a sliding thing. Sorry.
No.
That's good.
I mean, we can put it right here if you think.
No. You had it good at 219.
About 219. Okay. Looks good. Looks good.
Much better.
Much better.
A little bit more.
It's perfect.
You know, I could fix it for you actually, because
She could fix it for me.
I just feel like you were.
Will you do it for free?
You know, they say about paying. Yeah, your contracts. That's fine.
Movies. Movies are always worse when you pay for them. Movies are always worse. I snap call you. I ship all in. Dr. Swisher 23, good to see you. He says, clean your screen. Clean your screen.
Meaning the lag you're showing. I don't know what to do with my.
We're gonna like take over the phone.
Something just happened. Oh man, I don't know what it was.
You have 2 months in a row sub from MTA 95.
Let's make that call with our old 6-3 offsuit. We're just as likely to flop a pair as Limp's Ace Jack, and we sure did. Let's see if Limp 247 decides to go ahead and check back. Power of position. I like it, Limp. I like it, Limp. Let's go and fire out that half pot size raise. Yeah, so let me tell you what the Windows 10 ultimatum was. They're like, do you want to update it? And you got all these different options, and one of them was like, download it, but let's not update it yet. I'm not quite ready to update it, but go ahead and download the update. And they're like, okay, when do you want to update? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really want to update. And they're like, well, you have to update. Now that you've started the update, you have to update, and it has to be in the next 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, so they made me pick a time in the next 3 or 4 days. I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to be tonight. How am I supposed to know where I'm going to be in the next, 3 days? Like, we could go on the sickest tear. We could be at Disney World tomorrow night. Or we could lose everything in just like a crazy, weird, Twilight Zone where we have to go off for 1,000 buy-ins just to make the rebuy period and the add-on period in this weekend warm-up. Because we are not, I repeat, not going to end up like Dickma and Silvermoon and Watson and these other people, Subi 1999, who are not going the whole way in this tournament. You got to go the whole way. If you're not going to go the whole way, if you're not going to give yourself an opportunity to get to that add-on period, you're so much better just waiting until the very last minute to reg. So how do we find ourselves in this weird spot? Well, this wasn't such a weird spot. I mean, Limp 24/7 is in for 77 chips, which is half of a small blind. So it's basically like we don't even have to worry about him. Go ahead and make the raise, push out these other guys, and take 10-6 suited against a random hand for nothing. I mean, it's pretty much like we don't have to worry about Limp 247 in there. The only reason that maybe we should be dissuaded to make the call is because it exposes ourselves. But man, we're exposed anyway. A Hollywood guy says, stop everything. Whoa, stop everything. Do not update. Stop update for a minute. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. I work for HP, the biggest competitor of Microsoft, so I can tell you. No, HP does not compete with Microsoft. Microsoft is a software company. HP is a hardware company. Is that really true anymore? I'll tell you what, the very first computer I ever had, a 486 SX. It was beautiful. Until the 486DX came out, and then I felt like a chump. I was like, I should have waited for a better processor. I should have just waited. It wouldn't have taken long. Then the 486DX2 came out, and you know that everybody who was rolling that 486DX was like, oh, no. No, I should have waited. The 486 SX, man, that was the shit. You know what was the best was King's Quest. King's Quest, man, that was it. We used to play that game. Nikki Two Cards says, I got my book in the mail today. Thank you. Now if I can just learn to read. Can you do me a favor as a friend? Can you do me a favor as a friend?
Oh, I just died.
Can you teach me how to read?
I lived for 5 days, Dutch.
Oh, yeah? You didn't start for 5 days, huh? That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, this island is really hard.
Okay, so Nikki Two Cards getting his poker tilt bounty. He got his poker tilt bounty before some of these other guys who also should have gotten the bounty because he lives right here in Vegas. That's why, if you guys are wondering, all the bounties went out earlier this week, with the exception of one person who I had an email to try to track down their mailing address. I haven't had to send out a bounty to Poland. So that was an expensive little beat for me. But you know what? That's okay, because that's how we're doing it. Poker Zero is going to be worldwide, and I don't want to. I want to be big in Poland, and we can't be big in Poland if we isolate ourselves and alienate the Polish market. We got Iceman Kiwi getting a bounty. He got that Exmoor hat. That wasn't so bad, though, because it just, relied on Amazon to go and do that fulfillment. Look at this. We got Watson's Finest coming in 5 months in a row. Watson's Finest, it's great to see you. Watson's Finest, I'm really hoping that you are not the person who I just talked to about here on the stream who finished 46th. Watson. If you are, just know that, don't take it personally. I'm trying to, the whole reason we're streaming is just to get better at poker. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But yes, it is a big mistake not to let yourself get to the add-on period. If you're going to play a 5K guarantee where it's a double add-on, the reason is just quite simply because of that. Because so much value comes in that double add-on. This, a $50 rebuy and add-on with a double add-on is not a $50 tournament. You can't just give yourself one shot and see how it goes. And if you have a limited bankroll where you're like, and I understand, you're like, things go bad and you're in for 50. If things go bad, now you're in for 100. Things go bad, you're in for 200. It's like, what the hell? I mean, how many times am I going to take this shot? When is enough enough? Well, if you're in a spot where it's ever enough, then you're much, much better off saving yourself the grief and the potential EV disaster and waiting until the very, very last minute to register for the tournament. Set a little alarm for your phone, and have a little nice voice that says, "Attention, it's time to late register for the weekend warm-up." And you get your $100. You start with 12,000 chips for 100, rather than 400 chips for 50, and 400 chips for 50, and 400 chips for 50, and then you're like, screw it, I'm done. So much of the value in these things come from people not taking advantage of the add-on period. You can see already we have 20% of the people in this field not taking advantage of it. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not one, I'm not one who really is, who supports the theory that you hear from other poker theorists where they say, well, in a rebuy tournament, you really need to take advantage of every rebuy opportunity, because if the first rebuy was, if the first buy-in was profitable, the next buy-in is profitable, and a rebuy is always going to be profitable. I'll tell you what, on a short bankroll, I think that you're okay just saying, you know what, in a tournament like this, I'm not gonna take the rebuy. The first 4,000 chips isn't as valuable as the first 4,000 chips is not is way more valuable than the second 4,000 chips when you're just adding it to your stack. But the add-on is something different in this tournament. Not every tournament is like this. The $10 rebuy and add-on that we play all the time is 4,000 chips for 10, 4,000 chips for 10, 4,500 chips for 10. So the add-on period is not a double add-on at all. It's shoot, I can't even figure it. What is that? I get it. Hold on, I'll get it. 112% add-on. So it's not like a double add-on at all. It's a 1.12 times add-on, which if you don't get the add-on in the $10, that's fine. It's not really that big of an equity hit. You want to give yourself one bullet in a tournament. Play one bullet in the $10 rebuy and add-on, whatever. It's not that big of an equity hit. You might be much better off EV wise taking 3 $10 bullets than taking one $30 bullet. If you're on a limited bankroll, by all means, skip the rebuys and add-ons in that $10 tournament. But don't do it in the 30 and don't do it in the 50, because here we have the double add-ons where it's 2 times as much when you buy in. But you can skip the rebuy, because that rebuy giving you an extra 4,000 chips on your stack is not really as valuable as the first 4,000, due to that concept that we talk about, chip inflation. So Rogeezy saying, where's he streaming from? Las Vegas, buddy. Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City itself. It's awesome to be here. It's a beautiful night, actually. This is great weather to be here in Vegas. A little bit of a downtime for poker, except over the Bellagio where they're doing the 5 Diamond. Did any of you guys check out how our very own poker mindset coach finished up today? I know that he was going into day 2. It didn't sound like he was, had that big of a stack, but Let me take a look at it. I know a couple people here in the stream actually bought pieces of them on one of our favorite sites, Tasty Steaks. Let me see here really quick. How did he end up? Did he win? Did he win? Well, his recent tweet is, "I hate politicians that stand for nothing but re-election. I hate them. I hate them." Saw one big mistake yesterday. Mid-20s kid ordered at least 6 beers in 4 hours. He got a first level all-in double up, gone before dinner break. I will hit my sponsors later today. Again, as the old commercial says, thank you for your support. Cashing in my first WPT attempt. We get that add-on, guys, and where does it put us? 12th out of 46. So, 6th hand in, he's got ace-jack off suit. He shoves into pocket kings. He hits his straight on the river. He flushes. Okay, so let me just go to tastystakes.com and see how he reported it. Well, it looks like he did not win. Made it to day 2. Made the cash. Hopefully, he's saving the bulk of his run good for the event that I actually had a piece of him in, which is the tournament, the seniors event coming up this upcoming week. I decided I was just going to take one shot, and between the two, I felt like the seniors event would have a better EV for us. So, congratulations there, Dan. The senior event is number 4. This is the event 1 that he just finished in. It says it's still accepting stakes for the event that he just finished in, so this is kind of a little bit of a tech hiccup. Dan, you got to go ahead and make sure to update your packages, but that's okay. We do own a 9.5% piece in the 5 Diamond Senior Event number 4, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the sweat. We got a couple of other people who also have pieces in that event. I'm also very happy to see that you decided there, Dan, to go ahead and make the investor list public, because that's really, the increase in transparency is really one of the benefits that a site like this should offer. The fact that I know who also has pieces in you, so I know that you are not overselling your pieces. If I look at your list of investors and I don't see my name, then I always have to wonder, well, am I getting ripped off here? So this is one of the nice things about Tasty Steaks. Another, tastystakes.com is my personal favorite. You guys, I should probably even show it, but I'm not going to. You know what? I'm developing my own little staking platform. Maybe down the line, I'll really be a tout for something, but right now, if you're going to be selling or buying shares in tournament poker, there's a number of options out there, but the best one, in my opinion, is the site tastystakes.com. So, yeah, I kind of lied. Never one to shy away from a plug. A Hollywood guy says, when you want Windows 10, download the complete Win 10 disk image, install from your computer. Do not use update. Google what I have said. I will, a Hollywood guy.
Weird. I installed mine. Mine's fine.
Okay, guys, we're going to be right back. I'm going to get some coffee, stretch the legs, make sure I don't get a blood clot. Don't go anywhere.
Hundreds of People turned out tonight for the unveiling of a Hundreds of people turned out tonight for the unveiling of a very controversial statue.
Yeah, it really is. The Satanic Temple of Detroit revealed the one-ton bronze statue. Their message, they say, more about laws protecting religious freedom than about Satan. Priya Mann joins us live. Priya, I know there were some protesters out there this evening. Did the event remain calm?
Steve Sander, Detroit police say this was a relatively peaceful event. There were a few protesters early on that tried blocking the doors so people couldn't get in to get tickets. They were told to step back, which they did. The Satan statue will be unveiled tonight at a secret location. As a small group of protesters prayed, hundreds waited for tickets to the unveiling of an 8-foot-tall bronze statue of a goat-headed Satan. Most of the people here agree with the teachings of the Satanic Temple, the group responsible for the event.
It's here, it's in Detroit, and this is fantastic that we get to experience this and we get to see this amazing statue be unveiled for all the world to see.
I'm just excited to see my Lord and Savior Baphomet represented in such glorious Italian stone. I do hope his eyes gaze upon me and that my allegiance is recognized. I don't know. Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
In the name of Jesus! Lord, remove him. Protesters took the heavy rainfall as some sort of sign and even brought their own statue of an angel crushing the devil.
Part of me wishes that angel statue would come to life, and King Baphomet would rise, and two eternal juggernauts would do battle right here in the middle of the city. But for what is this battle raging, you ask? I don't know. What stands at the center? To that I say, my soul is at the center, offered up to the ageless ones, only to be torn in twain.
The unveiling here in Detroit is historic. The Satan statue has never before been seen publicly. The Satanic Temple says the statue is a symbol for what they advocate, the separation of church and state.
It's like you can't have one without the other, you know? Like I'm equal parts God and the devil. A cloak of shame covers this man, and only supreme light will wash my body clean. But how could that light possibly reach me with the thick clouds of indecency that surround my poor soul? So I carry my wrongdoings on my back like some kind of tormented hiker, lost in the hills of misfortune, looking desperately for that peak to rescue him from the valley of depraved habitual self-pleasuring. But again, I find nothing except for sweaty, devastated loneliness and 1,000 judging eyes staring back at me from the cover of a stolen Victoria's Secret catalog. I didn't take your mail, Mrs. Pemberton. Stop asking me that. Leave me alone. I don't know. Satan's pretty cool.
Now, it's important to note that the Satan statue will not stay here in Detroit. The Satanic Temple wants to take the statue to Arkansas. At the state capitol there is a monument to the 10 Commandments. They want to put the statue next to it as a form of protest. So again, the Satan statue will not stay here in Detroit. Reporting live, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
All right, the controversy will move south.
Microphone was muted. Yeah, so what did I say? That guy is not a Satanist. That guy was an actor. Andrew Bowers. Bowser. It's Bowser. His name is Bowser, like the Mario villain. He just goes around trolling. He goes to gamer conferences. He's the I don't know gamer guy. Pretty funny. He's got a way with words. He definitely flows, and he's very entertaining to watch. I think it's great also that he's sitting here coming off as a legitimate witness, and the news is just like, okay, yeah, we'll take it. Thank you for that clip. This is how the news works. It's not really about checking your sources and verifying your story these days. It's just about getting you through to the next commercial break. Might your everlasting soul be in jeopardy? Find out at 11. Making the call. Yeah, he works for Nerdist. Yeah, Drew Shady says, this guy is a troll and has a YouTube channel. That's true. That is Bowser. Mr. Bowser. Onyx the Fortuitous is his online stage name. I love him. That guy's great. Quick one. What the hell am I watching? You're watching me decide to make a move with Queen 10 off suit. Pot it against Rare Steak. No, we're not going to pot it. Rare Steak, you're the kind of guy who could give us a little bit of trouble. You're the kind of guy who looks like he wants to play. He's willing to play Russian roulette. He's willing to play chicken with the train. The train ain't moving, man. The train ain't moving. So 6 deuce off suit. We got Foxy Pete open limping. I'm gonna go ahead and make the call here. Getting a 9-1. Got to play pretty much on my belly. I mean, problem with a hand like this is you could end up hitting your hand and have no idea where you're at. Queen 5-6 off suit. No idea where we're at. Let's fire out. Problem with a hand like this is you got to play on your, you got to play it on your belly. Got to kind of play cautiously. Hand like, it comes out Queen 5-6. You got to just play cautious. Actually, betting out is kind of cautious. It's protecting our hand against those random overcards that we expect Foxy Pete and 1702 and Vegas V to have. Hands like Ace 9, King 10. Those kind of hands aren't going to be that big of a dog against us. Skogan Salvi, good to see you in the stream, man. Skogan Salvi. That sounds very Scandinavian. It sounds Finnish. It sounds like school. Skogan. We gonna do it? No. Get out of his way. It always feels wrong to fold, though, doesn't it? It always feels wrong to fold. I gotta look up the translation. Maybe it's just a name.
Where's the bowl of sugar right here? You're eating sugar now?
Yeah.
That's all you get. You want more? Oh. Why is my chair? Is this your chair?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, June's gonna get it.
Yeah, I know. My cookie broke. The cookie crumbled, you guys. You want to know how the cookie crumbles? This is the way the cookie crumbles. This is the way the cookie crumbles. Crumbles in a way that has me on my hands and knees looking for a piece of cookie so that my dog doesn't eat it and get a little ear infection. I found it. I knew there was a little bit more to that cookie, and I found it. Looks like there's also a band, Skogan.
Are you muted still?
I was muted for a second. Just a second.
No, this is helping with you, the dialogue.
。 You're dating yourself, warm cookies. You're dating yourself. And, yes, age happens to us all. And I embrace it. I embrace it. I like it. It's like earning my age.
What's your age?
Losing a little bit of hair.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what. My little brother Bobby, he's more bald than I am. And he was walking into a he's walking into he's wearing a hat. He walks into a convenience store to pick up a 12-pack of beer with our buddy Johnny Monette. This is about I'd say about 7 years ago. So I mean, like, he's 24, 25. And the person behind the counter says, "Can I see an ID, sir?" And Bobby looks at him, and he just takes off his cap. And the guy goes, "Good enough," and rings them up. He goes, I think it was one of the funniest things. Johnny loved it. He thought that was a great story. That's because Johnny has a full head of hair. Actually, no, Johnny's going a little bit bald too these days. Now that I think about it.
We got a full beard.
Yeah. That's how it goes when you get older. You start growing it here, and you start growing it here. You start losing it up top. But it's good. You start realizing truths about the world, like sometimes pot-sized bets get through. Sometimes people open limp with hands like King Jack, Queen 3 suited, and again just take it without a flop. Other truths like people don't really change that much. You know, the older you get, the wiser. That doesn't really happen. What happens though is you get experience and you realize that when you were younger, you thought you knew more than you did.
9 months. Wow.
Grateful Mouse, man, almost since the beginning. Grateful Mouse.
Pretty much. I think yeah, right.
Thank you so much for keeping the sub going, man. Really appreciate you being here. I truly do. Ace Jack off suit. Let's go ahead and just make the call here. We could 3-bet. It's kind of on the fence, almost strong enough. We could. Eric the White to our left. Eric the White hangs out in our stream sometime. Got a chance to actually play with Eric the White at the Nevada SPCA event that Jennifer Harmon puts on a couple weeks ago. He was sitting to my left. He's wearing a pair of Blue Shark optics. He introduced himself, and I thought that was pretty cool. Meeting people who hang out on the stream every once in a while. He's probably watching right now. Eric, if you are, it's good to see you, man. Big fist bump. Turn the Nuts 1. What do we think? Turn the Nuts 1, firing out 3/4 of the pot. Okay, Turn the Nuts. Let's go ahead and make the call and see what happens. I'm a little bit worried about two hands, right? I'm a little bit worried about two hands. We're a little bit worried about Ace Queen. We're a little bit worried about Ace King. A little bit worried about Pocket Kings. So 3 hands is what we're worried about. But Turn the Nuts, man, you're going to have to actually show us something better.
Oh my God, Nowsy just said the ghost of death because your face was so white.
Really?
Your face was so white that it was like so white. Oh my God.
It's okay. Kex Aaron says, I told you I'd sub if I fell in love with live poker after my first tournament. They took my money and didn't even give me a one-liner. Sorry to hear it, Kex Aaron. I'm sorry to hear it, Kex Aaron, though I'm actually kind of relieved to hear it because I can't tell you how many stories start. How many long, painful journeys start with a small taste of victory at the beginning. At the beginning of a long and torturous poker career. But I'm sorry to hear that it didn't go that well for you, man.
I think I like macadamia nuts better than macadamia nut cookies better than chocolate chip Dutch.
You know what it is? is the light reflecting from the monitor. That's what's going on.
Maybe you should turn off this light right here. Maybe that'll help.
No. I just shut the monitor down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
That's all I
idea.
had to do.
Brilliant. Yeah, because it's probably really bright, right?
It was. I can make my face a little greener. Not by adjusting anything, just by pulling up a little green image. Yeah, I'll tell you, Kexera, and this is one thing about tournament poker, and why it's so hard, is emotionally and mentally, is because even the best poker players out there, the best tournament poker players out there, they're not having an in the money percentage, much over 30%. When you start getting to big buy-in tournaments, you're looking at 19%. ITM is respectable, and it's so top heavy too that it's you can have a very high in the money percentage. A lot of times, the higher you're in the money percentage is, it comes at the cost of closing percentage, an actual slugging percentage, which most tournaments are so top heavy that it rarely, if your ITM percentage is too high, you're probably playing a negative EV style, because you're not giving yourself a chance to win it. And you guys see us sometimes really knit it up. Sometimes we really knit it up right around the some of the payout inflection points. But there's a time and a place for everything. Sometimes it is true that you're supposed to knit it up. Sometimes. Most of the time you're not. Most of the time you're supposed to just put your head down and aggro. Sometimes you're supposed to knit it up. When are those times? Those times, as we've seen in the past, are going to be those times when you're so close to the money bubble, and you're also with a pretty small stack where so much of your tournament equity is built around that min cash. So you look at it like the min cash in this event. I'm going to scroll down. Right now it pays 6 players. Sixth right now is $531. It looks like that's going to be it. So 6th place is $531. And then 5th place is $597. And then 4th place is $730. This isn't really going to be one of those spots that you really knit it up at the final table, because 7 players, you can't really knit it up. But there are going to be some situations where if you have a very, very, very short stack and there's another person with a very, very, very short stack, and you're doing the math and realizing, okay, well, if I double up here, my equity doesn't double. Right now, if someone were to give me a fair price of a prize pool of $6,643, let me go ahead and show this to you guys. That $6,643. And how many chips are in play? Let's see, average is 18,000 at 57 players, 41 players remaining. It's hard to figure out. Let's see. Add-ons 39, so 39 times 8,000. 312,000, and then you got 50 rebuys and 57, so 117,000 times 4 would be like 472,000 plus 312,000, so 784,000 chips. So let's say you're at the final table with 7 players left. There's 784,000 chips in play. Where does that put you? Let's say you have, so a prize pool of 6643. Let's say that you have 10% of the chips in play. So let's say less. You have 60,000 chips, 50,000 chips. You are one of the very shortest stacks, but not the shortest stack. Somehow, the guy who has just crushed it has a lot of chips. And maybe there's 2 people who are, basically mid-range, 25 big blind stacks in 2nd and 3rd, and 4th and 5th has small, and then you are in 6th place Actually, we'll say you're in 7th place, dead last, but you have the button. And the guy who was in 6th place is going to hit the big blind before you, and that's actually going to put him below you. And you're doing the calculations and realizing that if both of you just left the tournament, that he's actually going to be the one who bubbles out. That he's going to be the one who has to, fade his one big blind stack. So you've got a little less than 10% of the chips in play. Let's say the prize pool is $6,643, and if you're going to split based on just chip ICM without any sort of adjustment based on anything, you're looking at $531 as a min cash. Your actual tournament EV should be around $664. We'll say $650, $660, $670, $680, whatever it is. Point is that $531, that min cash, is such a high percentage of your overall tournament EV. Now let's say that you are in a position where it's like, oh, I've got ace king and someone shoved, and I can make the call here, and I know that I'm a favorite. Well, I mean, if you're a 3.5 to 1 favorite, take it, but let's change it. If there's a chance that that's the case, let's change it and say you have pocket twos, and the guy shoves all in, and you look down and you think, I think he has overcards. Should I make the call? I can double up here and go from 10% of the chips to 20% of the chips. How does that really affect my equity? I would suggest to you that when so much of your expected value is wrapped up in getting 6th place, and you have such a small tournament stack, but you also have that pretty well wrapped up, then those are the kind of situations where you really need to knit it up. But that's not where you want to be. You want to be the guy who is in first place position, who is putting the pressure on the other players, who is attacking the medium stacks and is attacking the big stacks, and saying, you know what, all of you guys are playing for second, which is a nice end to a weekend. $1,461.46. That's a good chunk. Anybody would pick that up if they saw it on the ground. I don't know a single person who has ever had $1,461 just a loose change in his couch cushions. So, it's not a bad score. 3rd place is not a bad score. When you're 8th, when you have 8 players left and you are the big stack and you have an opportunity to be pushing around stacks who feel like they're drowning but also feel like they can make it if they just fold. That's those are the situations that you really love to be in and are enviable equity spots. So Voff. Firing out now. I think we'll go ahead and make that raise against you. We hit that middle pair. He gave us a free shot at a flop. The queen helps our hand. He checks. Yeah, the queen helps our hand pretty good. I'm a little bit worried about like a 5 with a better kicker. A little bit worried, king 5 or ace 5. But I think it's a lot more likely that we are up against like some sort of draw like ace deuce ace 3, or some sort of forehand, some sort of like draw like a 6-7 or a 6-8 or a 7-8. So now the only question is, can I get called with worse? Maybe. It's a pretty optimistic value bet. It also opens the door for him to make us really uncomfortable with a check raise. I think that maybe we just call and probably take it. He can put us on a busted draw as well, though. He can put us on a hand like 6-7, or he could also be slow playing a queen. And the thing is, though, I don't think Voff is the kind of person to slow play. So let's just check. Let's just check back and take it from an ace deuce or an ace 4. Queen 9, nice hand there, Voff. I guess he is one to slow play. So, do I like the way he played that? No. You know, it's a balancing act that I think that he balanced wrong. I think that he really should have been betting on the end, because I mean, it's such a tough balancing act, though. You know, you have to choose between, do you go for the value bet or do you induce the bluff? Go for value, induce the bluff. If we had a hand that was bluffable, I don't think that we're continuing on the end. Maybe Maverick. It's good to see. He says, let's see. Question Dutch. I was playing in a bar poker league. Okay, I love bar poker leagues. It combines two of my favorite things. That's another thing that is always going to be a little bit less when you have to pay for it. Is a drink at a bar, right? You get a free drink at a bar, it always tastes better. Maverick BP says, I stopped because you can buy chips, buy one, tipping dealer two, buying beer shots, etc. Okay. Maverick BP, I did play in bar leagues, and what you're describing sure sounds a lot like gambling to me. Sure sounds a lot like, here, you know what, we're going to give you this shot. You know, it's completely free to enter into our tournament, and here is your 100 chips. But if you tip the dealer, you get 4,000, and if you buy a shot, you get 4,000. But you do have a shot at winning for free with your 100 chips. Sure sounds a lot like they are gambling. It's not a real free roll. And I love bar leagues. I think that kind of bar league free roll type situation is healthy for poker, and quite likely is the future of poker. You know, I think that it's quite likely that we are going to see a future of poker where some sort of free roll environment gets big enough where the prizes become substantial, and actually attract tough players and tough competition, and you actually see people who are making their living off of like a big enough league. A big enough free league. I could see it. I think that'll happen. I hope it happens. I think it's only one of maybe three things that could actually change poker and make it stop contracting. Yeah, let's go ahead and make the raise here with our 9-8 offsuit. I would expect Eric the White to go ahead and put up a little defense. He knocked out Exmal on that charity event, guys, by the way. Exmal raised under the gun with ace... King. She had pocket kings raising all in under the gun, and he called her with A7. A7 or Ace9, I don't remember, but he was right next to her under the gun +1. I was kind of surprised, but I also felt like, okay, well, he's thinking that she doesn't have that strong of a hand, which I think is a fair assumption because she only had like 4 big blinds left. But it's a full table. He's thinking, okay, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze her. I'll go ahead and isolate her. I have an ace in my hand, so that kind of blocks, makes it less likely that someone behind me is going to have an ace. I'm going to be able to run my ace rag into a random hand. I can understand it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He made the move. He did isolate her. She turns over her kings, and he hits the ace, and that was it. No puppy for Exmal. That was first place. You got to take home a puppy. Yeah. That's pretty funny, Nosley. Yes. I'm looking more and more like my avatar every single day, and look at this. Pocket aces. What a crazy round this has been for us, where we pick up some pretty big hands now. And now we have that unbeatable hand, the uncrackable hand, the invincible hand. Guys, pocket aces. Oh my gosh, and Ultrazine makes the shove. Biopoker snap calls. And this is when we actually stand up from our table and say, I snap call you. I snap call you. I snap call you. Kings and ace queen. What a beautiful spot. We have to dodge a king. So knocking two players out. 29, 30,000. What a cooler for Ultrazine. Sitting there with pocket kings. What a cooler. And when it goes under the gun under the gun +1 raising and Ultrazine shoving, I'm not sure that ace queen offsuit is the spot to look for Biopoker. I think you can probably find a fold there. You don't really want the cards to tell you how to play them. You really need to be looking at spots, not cards. And an under the gun +1 raise with an under the gun +2 shove is probably not a situation where ace queen offsuit is looking super, super, super strong. But I can understand it. You're sitting there with 11.5 bigs. You're like, okay, I got to go with it. Nothing I could do. Well, I mean, the guy is shoving for 22 bigs. You still have 4 opponents behind you. So I don't really love the shove by Biopoker, but for that matter, I don't really love the shove by Ultrazine either, because I feel like it's raising too much. I think making a normal 2.5x raise, Ultrazine is still not at that point where 24 big blinds, 23 big blinds, 22 big blinds, where you can't make a normal raise and play post flop, especially with a power hand like that. But if Ultrazine is thinking, you know what, I think that Dutch is going to call with a weaker hand, that I don't want to lose him if I make a normal raise. So let's say that, for example, a lot of times an all-in raise can look weaker than a normal raise, but it also is a spot where you can stack a guy if you get it all in, but he won't stack off if he sees a flop. Let's say pocket tens or pocket jacks. There are so many chill cards that can happen where some people are going to stack off with tens and jacks, a lot of people. And if AN1702 has pocket kings or pocket aces, he's a lot better off just trying to get my stack pre-flop. Rather, let's see, KB Poker making a normal raise. No, you know what, KB? I'm going to get out of your way. KB Poker's kind of a tough nut to crack. We played with him a few times. I've got some hand histories here. I'm going to just take it easy. So yeah, this is a big mistake you see a lot of players make. They think he's strong, so they go for a little raise, and then a flop comes out where it completely chills their action. Imagine, for example, you have the unbeatable hand. You've got the aces. You've got the hand that never cracks. The 2 black aces, and the flop comes out, and it comes ace king 3, and you're like, yes. Wrong reaction. That is not the flop you want to see when you have pocket aces. The flop you want to see when you have pocket aces is 3, 3, 5. Queen 7, 2, Queen 6, 6. Those kind of hands, the kind of hands that, the kind of flops where, how about 9, 4, 4. Those are the kind of hands that you want to see, where pocket sevens is going to look down and think that's a favorable flop for me. Where pocket tens or pocket jacks is going to think, bingo, dodged the ace, I dodged the king. Where you're not going to get a guy with pocket queens saying, no, it happens every time. Why does an ace or a king always come out when I have pocket queens? I'm the most unlucky person in the world. I fold. Open fold as queens. I know that you have an ace. Well, actually, you are so lucky that an ace came, because if an ace didn't come, you were going to stack off. If that flop was 5, 5, 2, you're losing all of your chips to my aces. I don't need improvement. I had you waxed the whole way. But now, since the flop didn't come out right, I don't get your whole stack. Whereas if I would have just shoved pre-flop, I would get your whole stack. So I can see the argument for Altrazine just making the shove. I can. I think it's a better argument if he has, and more correct if he has a lower stack size where it's like a 15, 16, 17 even, and where his position's a little different, mainly, looking at being in the big blind or the small blind, where playing in position, playing out of position is a little bit troublesome, so you'd rather just get the hand over with. As someone who's under the gun +1 making the shove, it should be stronger. Not only because he could be playing a big hand in position, but decides, what, I'm just going to make the shove. Also because he has more people to worry about behind him. So that shove looked so much stronger than a shove from like a small blind or a big blind spot, and the amount of chips he had also should be a clue and a big giveaway that, wow, he's huge, he has a huge hand. I'm not saying that I would have gotten away from queens there, and maybe I don't get away from ace king, but most of the other hands I would get away from. And if he would have called instead of making the shove, a lot of times he's going to be able to get me to go ahead and stack off with the stack sizes the way they were, by not letting off the brakes to a pre-flop semi-bluff that didn't go anywhere post-flop. So I don't know. I like I like calling there in his spot, and I like making a normal raise in his spot more than the shove. But I think that when he might be in a different spot in small blind or big blind, then it makes more sense, and smaller stacks makes more sense. Stablet K. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but welcome to the crew, and thanks for clicking on that sub button, keeping our stream going. Stablet K. Thank you, man. And so Stable TK is what that's going to be. Stable TK. Why did I think it would be Stablet? Stablet. I think it's Stable TK.
So there's a question. Slogan Slive asked twice.
Skogan Salvi. Skogan means forest, I guess, in Swedish. He says, do you have any advice for an individual just getting into competitive poker? That's a tough one, Skogan, and I don't even really know where to start. It's such an open-ended question because, yes, I guess I would say the answer is yes. I do have a lot of advice for an individual just getting into competitive poker. Nikiki, good to see you in the stream, man. And we got Glenn Weber saying, evening all. Good to see you, Glenn, in the stream. We got Raider78. Thank you very much for those gamer codes, man. Raider78 saying, I believe the iSnap call you deserves an emoticon. So yeah, Skogan, sorry to just kind of give you a very vague and general answer to your question, but it's a pretty vague and general question too. I do have advice for an individual like myself. What do I think is let's ask a different question. Let's ask the question, what do I think is the best advice I can give you if you're just getting into competitive poker? What is the best advice that you can give to someone who's just getting into competitive poker? I think if you're going to ask other streamers, or if you're going to ask other pros, that's probably going to get you a better answer. Okay, so I would say first off, my advice would be to change your question. Second, I would say this. Come on, Michelle is like sneering at me, saying, "You're stupid, Dutch." That's what you just said. That's what I just heard her from across the table. She goes, "You're stupid, Dutch." I'm not trying to make it condescending, man. I'm giving you some advice, okay? So, C-Mac Zan subscribed for 9 months in a row. C-Mac, thank you very much for being here. I'm not trying to be a dick, okay? I'm not. I promise you. This would be the best advice I feel like I could give somebody who's just approaching competitive poker. And my answer would change based on the day that you're asking it. I doubt that there will be any conformity to this answer. But right now, what I think the best advice would be to, number one, recognize poker as a skill game. Recognize that it is something that that you can get better at. That there is really no end to how good you can get. There is no journey to the end where you're like, I made it. I've learned poker. It's not like, but like most skills, there are going to be diminishing returns, right? So, and the higher you get in the competitive space of poker, the tougher competition you play, the smaller edges you're going to be able to enjoy against them, but those small edges really make the difference. So what I would say is based on all of that, budget your time accordingly. Okay, you need to always be working on your game in other ways. Take over the We've got Underwood Gaming 5 months in a row. Thank you so much. And Re-Raise just subscribing. Re-Raise took second place today to Linda 1972 in the Poker Zero free roll at the tournament, the Twitch Poker League. It was awesome to have you. Re-Raise knocked me out. I felt really bad about it. Now I feel awesome about it. Guys, if every time I got knocked out of a free roll tournament, it meant that I got a sub, I would be scheduling these every hour and losing my ass. Re-Raise, thank you so much. You're gonna get a little welcome package. Re-Raise, you're gonna get an email here in the next couple of days, couple of hours, couple of minutes actually. In the next couple of minutes. No, I did. Stable TK. So Stable TK, yeah, I kind of glossed over your welcome too. I'm really sorry about that. This is what you guys are going to get. New subs get this. Digital copy, download linked of Poker Tilt, my book. And some fist bump patches. Actual fist bump patches, I'll send them anywhere. Where are they? Do we have any fist bump patches around? Can we roll a clip? I don't know. They look like this. I stuck it. This is the. I stuck it on this thing. They look pretty good. You're gonna get physical fist bump patches. Oh my gosh. That is June dressed as an Ewok, and you know what that means. We got JPB16 donating $19. He says, Dad, got my bounty book in the mail today. Would love to pay for the book, but the stamp and the signature can't be bought. Fist bump. Thank you very much, man. JPB, thank you so much, man. You know that's not necessary. I mean, he won that fair and square. He knocked me out. He won it fair and square. But I definitely appreciate the donation, man. Thank you so much. It is people like you that keep the stream going, and people like you who make me feel good about, spending time on Twitch, spending time on the stream, and wow, Eric the White making that 3-bet. It would be so much easier to call if. What just happened? What did I do here? I turned away for a second. Did I just really make this mistake, or did Mr. Marbles just get moved into the small blind? Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's not a mistake. That is in case what actually happened. So turn the nuts. It didn't min raise. It didn't limp and me min raise. I was gonna flip a switch. So yeah, guys, check that welcome email out. Welcome to the crew, and let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys while you're here. I really appreciate you clicking on that sub button. I know that it's. Not the easiest thing to do to actually, the other day, Bobby Big Buy, my little brother, he was like, I kind of understand, it's got to be hard on Twitch. Because the other day I was watching Gripst. This is his story. He goes, I was watching Gripst. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually getting something out of this. I'm going to support the stream. And he hovers over the sub button. He's telling the story. He's like, so I pulled out my credit card and I had my mouse and I hovered over the sub button and I thought, nah. And he puts it back in his wallet and he keeps on watching. So Gripst missed out on Bobby Big Buy and sub, and I understand it too. I do sub to more than my fair share of streams. I've got a nice little collection of emoticons, but I will tell you, I know from experience it's so much easier not to sub than to sub, and it really does make this go. If it wasn't for you guys with the sub badge, this stream wouldn't happen. We got Pippin87 say, Drew, that happened to me in a cash game years back. I flopped 9s full. The other guy flopped quad aces. He slow played it to the river, and when I reshoved the river, he snap called. I wonder if he still thinks about that hand, Pippin. It's such a weird thing about poker. I'm gonna guess he doesn't. I'm going to guess that he has forgotten about it, and that when he tells people, about big hands that he remembers. His memory only remembers the bad things. That's the weird thing about memories, man. I can't tell you how many times I have this conversation with someone who's like, yeah, don't you remember we had this big hand where you put this really bad beat on me? It's like, I will never remember that. But I remember, like, with amazing clarity, the bad beat that Scott Stanko and Bill Edler put in my World Series of Poker main event final tables. I remember those just, like, so clearly. And I don't remember all the beats I put on them. Not Stanko and Edler, but like the other players, I don't remember those bad beats so much. I do remember the beat I put on Negreanu for the very first World Series of Poker bracelet, but that was a little different. That was a little bit different. Yeah. So so back to that little bit of advice, right? Look at this. We got 1311 Cherub subscribing for 5 months in a row. That reminds me. 1311 Cherub, thank you so much for being here and for supporting the stream. And I like that username. It reminds me of a story I had. So when I was a kid, let me see if I can load this up. When I was a kid, I must have been 10 years old. That is it. I found it. Voff, now making the raise. He's the kind of person who opened limps with Queen 9. Now he wants to min raise me. I've got 7-5 suited. I will see a flop. The flop comes King Queen 9. Voff. What do we think, man? What you doing? Making the fold. Here it is. Chubby Cherub. That's pretty awesome. So I had this kid, right? I had this buddy. What was his name? He was one of my best friends. We moved around so much when I was growing up, though. Let me think about it for a second. Justin. His name was Justin. Nope. It was Jacob. His name was Justin or Jacob Knopke. That was his last name. I remember Knopke. His dad owned a really big, for my view of the world, his dad owned a really big construction company in Leawood, Kansas. Knopke Brothers. Yeah, there it is. Knopke Brothers, Kansas City. Mechanical contractors, Knopke Brothers. And maybe this is him. Jake Knopke. This is him. This is my buddy. There he is. Jake Knopke, owner and president, Gentleman's Vice Company. Jacob Knopke. Oh my gosh, this is him. I found you. Buddy. Oh, man. So now Jake Knopke is the owner and president of Gentleman's Vice Company. And he was my best friend when we were in third grade. Just moved to a new school, and we were at recess, and he introduced himself. And I remember... back then, I'd gotten a Nintendo a couple years before, and I loved playing video games. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you always tell the story.
Because this was the best thing that ever happened in my life. Knowing Jake Knopke was the best thing that ever happened in my life. Yeah, we can we can show the picture, right? He's not exactly a public figure, but here he is. Here he is, Jake Konopke. So yeah, this is 20 something years ago. This has got to be him. I mean, I can recognize the eyes. This has got to be him.
Or not.
It's him. It's him. Pretty sure. So we're at recess or lunch, and we're talking about Nintendo games. And I say, what kind of what Nintendo games do you have, man? And he goes, oh, I have every Nintendo game. I go, no, you don't. You don't have every Nintendo game. I mean, this is not like, when would this have been? This would have been 1990. So NES has been around for 5 years. Like, we're talking 400, 500, 600 games here. You don't have every Nintendo game. He's like, no, I have every single one. It's like, bullshit, man. I mean, this is, you know what? Even back then, my BS detector started going off, right? I mean, my BS detector started going off. I was like, I call. You don't have every, you know what? You're just like me, man. You're living in a little apartment. You've got 3 Nintendo games that you've played through to death that you have to blow every time you put into the console. You don't have every Nintendo game. He's like, I do too. I do too. And I was like, no, you don't, dude. Just shut up. You do not. And he's like, dude, I do. You're a liar, Jake. You're a little liar, man. I do, dude. Dude, come over to my house. Come over to my house. Let's do let's have a sleepover this weekend. You can come over to my house. We'll play some video games. I have every video game. I was like, okay, that sounds fine. Prove it. That sounds fine. That sounds fun anyway. Whatever. I don't care, if you don't have every video game. No one has every video game. It's okay. So I go over to his house for the sleepover. He has a little brother, too, who's about Bobby's age. So both of us go over. So we're going to, all 4 of us are going to have a little sleepover at his place. His house is the biggest I'd seen at that point. But, 10 years old. I hadn't really seen a lot of houses. I go in, and sure enough, I'll be damned. He has every single NES game. Every single NES game. And I realized 2 things at that moment, you guys. I realized 2 things. That was the first time that I realized that I was poor. And that is also the first time I realized that I was about to have the best friend of my entire life. I realized, you know what? He's just like me, he just wants to hang out with his buddies and play video games. And I realized, I don't have to have a rich dad to be able to play every video game. I just have to have a buddy who does. It's a point that I think is lost on a lot of people, in life. So many people are like, I want to work hard my whole life so that one day I can retire and I can just go to a beach somewhere and smoke weed. And then they get there and they're buying weed from this, Jamaican guy or from this, Dominican guy, and he actually is living the dream that they worked their whole life to have. He just got there a little bit quicker. It's like you want to sail around the ocean on a yacht, smoking a joint. You can do that without buying a yacht. You can do that. You just like work on a yacht, and you've accomplished that goal. There's so many ways to get to get what you want in life. Yeah. And Cherub 1311, thank you for the sub. The reason I'm telling you this story is because one of Jake Konopke's favorite games when we were growing up, and I have no idea why, because he had every game. One of his favorite games.
Did you get another sub?
Yeah, resub. Was this one. And now, like, looking back on it, I think that maybe he was just leveling me. I really think that maybe he was just leveling me, but this was the game that he was like, yeah, you got to try this game out, man. It's really good. Chubby Cherub. Chubby Cherub was the NES game. Of all the games that he had, this was the one that he said that was his favorite game. Sent home with me, and looking back on it, I realized, he was just leveling the shit out of me. This was his punishment for me calling him out and saying that he was a liar in front of all of our friends. Is he realized that he was gonna get me back. This was the game that he sent back with me. He's like, here, you can borrow it. I could borrow this game? Yeah, you can borrow it. And now Chubby Cherub is is on a list of the top 20 worst NES games of all time. It was not a fun game. It was all right. It was all right.
It's called Chubby Cherub.
Chubby Cherub. That's the game right there. Good times, guys. Memory lane. And what are we looking at here? We got 25,261 chips, which is a little bit of a step back from our height of 30,000 chips when we had the uncrackable, unbeatable hand. It looks like we lost a little bit of chips. Where did they go? I can't even remember. We lost 2 big blinds to Voff again. He keeps on coming at us. We lost a little bit of an orbit without much. We got Lindley Lou at our table, 2 to our right. We got Eric the White, 2 to our left. We got Ann 1702, which has that bull. Raised pre-flop with Jack 9 off. Made a thin value bet with Jack 9 off on a King Jack 362 board. That is a pretty thin value bet, my friend. And I have a freaking spewer pre-add-on shoved all in after a 3-bet with 9-8. OMG, OMG. So we're not in the pre-add-on period anymore. And 1702 is probably going to give us trouble, and not in a good way. Guys, we are going to be right back in 2 minutes. I hope that you guys don't go anywhere. Sorry again for not spending that much time on the chat. You know, I've got the chat over here. I keep on going off in tangents. But I really appreciate all of you being here. Nittiest Nit from Nitville. Good to see you in the stream. We also have Dakota Cohoon. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. And let's see, Pippin87 congratulating Linda. It is pretty funny. He says, that's funny she wins and doesn't even play poker. Apparently she does. Apparently she does. Apparently she plays poker better than every single one of us because she took down the tournament that we all tried to play today. Remember, guys, it is pokerzero.com. Play it for free. Win real prizes. Really cool prizes with all of us here on the stream. Knock out X-Mall, knock out me, get some cool bounty prizes. We've got some real cool prizes up top, too, thanks to some of our sponsors. We're going to be right back in a couple minutes. Okay, we're back, you guys. We're back at a pretty important time. I'm looking at the number of players. 24 players left. 24 players left. Can we do it? As you can see from the payout scale, that is what we have our eye on. That third place finish is what we are trying to get today. No, that's not true. We're going for first. I don't know why we have third place highlighted, but yeah, whatever. I mean, if we got third, we'd be fine with it. Pocket aces! Oh my god! Oh my god! Pocket aces, how good are we running today, guys? We don't have to worry about whether we win or lose with this hand, because we know what happens with aces. Aces never loses. KB Poker coming in with a raise. Mr. Marbles and Eric the White. You know what? It's just one of those spots where I think I'm going to go ahead and make the re-raise instead of slow play it. Let's make the re-raise. 5,300, going for that 2.5x. And KB Poker, what do you think? What do you do? He calls. It's a good flop. What a beautiful flop that is. King 8-3. What a gorgeous, gorgeous flop. What do you think, KB? Firing out? Half pot? Okay, what do we do with queens here? Oh, God. The king always hits when we have queens. Oh, God. We get so unlucky here. Oh, God.
Give aces a thought.
We do. But how would queens play this? How would tens play this? Yeah, we call. Fuck. The queen hits the turn. And hopefully he still has an ace king. Oh, shit. So aces against eights. The king 8-3 on the flop. All of the chips go his way. And the aces let us down. The aces let us down. Pocket aces. They never crack. They never lose. But we got to, now we have to rethink everything we know about poker because of that hand. Guys, it was so much fun. I really felt like things were going well, too. KB Poker, crushing it. Just crushing it. I don't think that he really misplayed that. You know, he made the raise with eights. We made a 2.5x re-raise. And, you know, he's, like, just folding is probably not what you want to be doing. He's popping in 20% of his stack. I mean, if he knows that we have the overcards, he can go ahead and fold because he's not quite getting the right odds to make the set mine. But it's not really that, you know, he didn't misplay it. I think the only thing that maybe he misplayed was leading out into us when it came king 8-3, because when he leads out, he's going to get us to fold so many hands where we're going to continue with our pre-flop aggression. You know, him leading out is basically like him saying, look, I think that he has ace king or aces, or, you know, and he's going to pay us off, which if we have ace king or aces, you're going to get our stack anyway. So I actually don't like the lead out, because it gets too many folds from hands where if he checks, he's going to maybe get some pretty significant action. You know, it's just that value, you know, it's that balancing line, value bet versus, you know, bluff induction. What do? I would say when your opponent has taken the pre-flop initiative and the pre-flop aggression from you, and you flop a monster hand like he just did, you're better off letting your opponent continue with that aggressive line. In a lot of ways, the leading out there is actually a timid play. Because you know, so often people are just going to be like, oh, I got to set, I got to protect my hand against, you know, the draws that I imagine. But king 8-3, I mean, doesn't really have a lot of draws, you know. So yeah, I mean, I don't love the betting out. I think that him firing out a check on the flop, with the intention of maybe check raising is probably a stronger play. I also think that firing out a check on the flop and, you know, checking the turn is also probably a fine line. If I check back on the turn, then he can go ahead and fire out on the river. But you know, a lot of times, I think that the way he played it is going to move me off of, you know, some very specific hands where, he doesn't really have to be that worried about giving a 2-outer to like pocket tens or pocket jacks. But I'm not continuing with the hand with pocket tens or pocket jacks if he leads out into me. Whereas if he doesn't lead out into me and he checks to me, I think that I am going to go ahead and fire out a c-bet. I mean, most players will. Anyway, that sucked. That sucked. What are we going to do now? I'm going to jump off. We're going to get some sleep for the next event tomorrow, which is the big tournament. What's going on tomorrow? The big one. We're going to play the big one tomorrow. The $100 million guaranteed at WSOP.com. The 200, the big Sunday tournament. Okay, so maybe it's not that big, and maybe while the rest of the poker world is going to be taking a shot in that ACR millie, we're going to be taking a shot at the WSOP 20,000D. That's how they should rebrand that. They should just call it the 20,000D. Hey man, you want to come over and do some grinding? I'm going to be playing that ACR millie today. What are you gonna play it? No. I'm not gonna play that. I'm not gonna play the millie today because it's an illegal offshore card room. So I'm gonna stick with what's legal and regulated in my city. Oh yeah. What's that? Oh, it's a WSOP.com 20 Katie 20 Killy Killy. Okay, guys, it's been awesome. I'm gonna spend the rest of the night with Xmoa. And try not to starve. You guys are the best. Hope that you join us tomorrow. I wish those pocket aces would have gone differently. No one understands how I feel right now too. I know that nobody. Don't be a troll. Don't be a troll. I won't be a troll. Do you know how I feel right now?
I found lava.
Do you know how I feel right now? You know how I feel right now. Nilesy knows.
Now this is unbelievable. I've never seen it lose.
Nilesy knows how I feel. That's how I feel right now. This is what it feels like.
Like the little boy?
Yep. This is me saying, I got pocket aces, pocket aces. Oh. Pocket aces never loses, pocket aces never loses. Oh. That poor child. That poor kid. This is the beginning of a movie romance right here. See, if this were Hollywood, if this video were a Hollywood movie, they would end up 20 years later in some sort of weird fight where she is just being completely unreasonable and running him over, and this would be a metaphor for their relationship, and then he would find a girl who treats him better. If this were a Hollywood movie, that is how it would be. But this isn't a Hollywood movie. Instead, she loses all respect for him when he cries to his mom. And fast forward 10 years and later, and she's a 14-year-old girl dating a guy who's in college. That's pretty much how this is going. So this is my life now. This is my life. You guys are great. Thank you so much for being here, and hope to see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Make sure to sign up for that Poker Zero Twitch Poker League. Again, it's not associated or endorsed with Twitch, but we are giving away some cool prizes for free. Make sure to click on that follow button, and big thank you to all of our subs, especially all of our resubs too. You guys are the fuel that keeps this little car going. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully.
house walks